I'm sorry. If you want more superheroes, don't look at Marvel United Multiverse. Look at My Hero Academia because this latest season is just so friggin' wild. Hopefully, I've bought enough cachet of nerddom so that you don't leave the video. Welcome to Room and Board, and these are the 5 reasons you shouldn't back Marvel United Multiverse of Who Cares. Is that the title? That might be the title. And I knew I needed to set aside time to make this video the instant that it went live because we are, and I'm doing it on this setup so we can see, we are currently less than an hour into it, and it's already raised $333,000 US, almost $500,000 Canadian. And this is a game that people love. This was a surefire hit by Come On Games. It's a game that I've played the original version of. And before we get into the reasons why this might be exciting and why perhaps you should consider not backing, let me tell you the premise of this series if you're new here. If you're not, welcome, thanks for coming back. But if you're new here, this is a series that I do whenever a campaign reaches over that $1 million bar. So potentially, this may never see the light of day until Marvel United crosses that $1 million bar, then it will get released. If it doesn't, hey, well then I'm just talking to myself, which isn't really different from any Saturday night or time of day. But this is a series that I do in order to help fight the FOMO, fight the sense of missing out, the fear of missing out, as is the acronym. Fight the fear of missing out, because I find with a lot of these campaigns, and sorry, Come On, but Come On in particular, there is this sense of you need to get it now because you won't be able to get it later. And in a sense, that's true. A lot of these campaigns offer stretch goals that then become exclusive, they become rare, they become hard to find, and they are banking on that in order to incentivize you purchasing now instead of purchasing something that you will truly and desperately enjoy. The point of this series is to make sure that when the game gets into your hands and when you start playing it, you are equally as excited as you are hitting the back button right now, and you aren't disappointed and you aren't left to just resell something and spend your valuable time offloading a toy that you aren't going to play with. That's the feeling. That's the feeling that I personally have come into a few times. I've gotten swept up in the marketing. I've gotten swept up in the excitement of the campaign. I've got swept up with the promises that the campaign provides, and I haven't actually taken the time and evaluated if this game is going to be right for me and for my group, and if it will actually see playtime. So that's what this series is about, to try to take a step back, take a breather, and truly evaluate for yourself if this will be a good purchase. But before I start slamming on the game, just like Come On slams on the Galactus button over and over to get you to spend more money, I want to talk about what is exciting about the game. Because let me tell you, this Kickstarter trailer is pretty friggin' exciting. It pumps the hype in a way that I didn't even think was possible for someone who isn't even that big of a fan of the original game. I think, oh, but this one, it looks so nice. It looks so much better. This is all new. This has got to be the best iteration and will be better than all the other iterations. And the first thing that is exciting, or the main part that is exciting about this new iteration, are the things that they are adding. If you go through the campaign page, you'll see slight instances of that. Currently, that's highlighted on their main campaign page, and it is more highlighted in the trailer than the actual campaign page itself, which should tell you something about how prevalent it's going to play on the actual impact of the game. But the things that do get me really excited, one are these equipment cards. These equipment cards that at this current time, their second stretch goal was to add in a bunch more equipment cards. Basically, they give your heroes one-time abilities or special abilities, variable player powers. As somebody who enjoys variable player powers, this gets me very excited. The other main thing that the campaign was pushing in its video is this new solo mode, this commander solo mode that feels like it is only accessible in this new edition. Spoiler alert, it isn't. I know this is the excitement part, but I don't know if that's actually going to be a point, so I might as well talk about it now. So adding the solo mode, this new solo mode to provide additional solo support is great. That's what's awesome about this new portion, this new take on the genre. Bonus reason number 6 is that if you're only backing for this commander solo mode, if you read through the rule book, you can see that you don't need any additional components from the multiverse. You can just take that commander solo mode and apply it to your own game and try it out right now. But it is highlighted as one of these main points, and I like that they're doing additional support. I know that the solo community in the board gaming world is just growing bigger and bigger, and when you have a bunch of boxes of Marvel United, you want to get it off the shelf, and sometimes you don't have a group around. This enables you to play it in a bunch of different modes in different ways, and I love that so much. Plus, there are the additional sculpts and the additional reinvigorations and dabbling into the Marvel Universe, which is always fun, seeing Captain Carter, seeing different versions of Thor and Spider-Man, the base box, which is not going to be all you get. You're going to get a million stuff. You get Captain Carter, you get Loki, you get Shuri Black Panther, Spider-Man 2099, Mighty Thor, Ironheart, Cosmic Ghost Rider, and then you can face off against Immortus, Maestro, and Emperor Doom. If you're entrenched in the Marvel hobby and the Marvel universe, seeing these new characters come to life is also a definitely reasonable thing to be excited about. It's just more content for a game that you potentially enjoy. If you've played it already, you know whether or not you're going to instantly back it or not. But as we go into these 5 reasons, I'm going to try to frame them in a way that plays the devil advocate for those of you who haven't gotten Marvel United yet and are interested in jumping in, because it might be the right time to jump in. The additional minis and the additional value with the stretch goals, even after the shipping prices, which will be expensive, you're looking at about $100 after shipping, depending where you are, pretty much wherever you are, for this game. And it might be worth $100, but you will get access to all of these stretch goals that likely will cost more later on down the line. People like to purchase Command games, and they like to try to sell them for double, just because they got in on the wave. And they just sit on these boxes and they wait for you to want to pay those stupid prices and capitalize on your excitement because you didn't capitalize on it right now. I totally understand that viewpoint, and I actively dislike people who do that. If I'm ever selling something, I try to sell it at cost, but that's just because I'm a generous, caring individual. So I understand that sentiment, but what matters, again, is will you enjoy the game and will it be worth purchasing and getting all this additional stuff? So let's go into it. For the uninitiated and the initiated, I've got reasons here for both of you. These are the 5 reasons why you shouldn't back Marvel United Multiverse. And reason number 5, a reason that I used way back with Marvel United X-Men, one of the first videos on this channel, the video that started this series, the video that happened before I even had a microphone and I had to whisper so I didn't blow out the microphone with my phone. It bears repeating that this $65 price point is going to be a lot more than you'd pay for it at retail. Within reason, right? I understand that the initial pushback to that statement is, no, but you don't get the stretch goals. That is true. That is completely true. You then have to evaluate what the stretch goals are worth to you or not. And often they will be more expensive later on. I totally understand that. If you're just looking for that additional switch and that additional push, or this is your first time entering the Marvel Universe, know that there are so many boxes out there that you can purchase at retail for 30% of this. And I say 30% of this because this is not $65. This is $95 after shipping. The minimum shipping is $33. Keep that in mind. If you're in Canada, then you convert it and you add a whole bunch more. For me in Canada, for the base game, it's $65 plus an estimated minimum of $48. That's $113 US, and then after conversion, that's a $140 game. Compare that to when I go to my local store. I got Marvel United, the base game, at Walmart on sale for $25 Canadian. That's like 19 or 18 US. And I have that game, that same experience that you are going to be paying $98 for. When you factor in the shipping and factoring in if you need those stretch goals or not, you have the possibility of adding additional content to your existing Marvel United or jumping in at a much lower price point and then seeing if you want to track down those other things or not. You could even do it now with the previous X-Men content and the previous expansions that are now slowly trickling out, because even Spin Master, the retail edition, is realizing how much of a great seller this game really is. Now, reason number 4, I'll look directly at you again and cue it up for the big reveal. Reason number 4 that you shouldn't back Marvel United is CMON's up to their old sneaky tricks again. And of course, that is if you're pulled in by Galactus. And this actually might be a reason why you should back it, right? I am also aware of this. I'm not here to tell you to not get cool things. I'm just here to point out the absurdity of these cool things, and Galactus is once again absurd. It was absurd in Marvel Zombies. It is slightly less absurd in Marvel United, but it doesn't do anything. What you're being sold here is this new Fantastic Four expansion where you're getting some extra characters, but you're just getting this giant Galactus who gets to turn and shoots fake laser beams out of him like they show in the video. Galactus could be, see, there we go, pew pew. Can you stop Galactus? I don't know. Galactus could be a cardboard circle, but it's never going to be when you're dealing with CMON. Again, this one is further down on the list because I understand why this might be a draw for some people. I understand that this might pull people in and they want a big Galactus figure, and it might be the reasonable option if you didn't get Galactus in that Marvel Zombies scenario and you still wanted a sort of big centerpiece to be able to pull that out and have a toy on your calyx or on your shelf or whatever it is that you can showcase and paint and have fun with. That might be worth the $140 price point, because of course shipping goes up when you got Galactus, right? Maybe that collectible is worth it to you, but from a pure gameplay perspective, Galactus is here to upsell you on the other stuff. Galactic is here to get you to buy the main pledge and Galactic. They're not currently having it as an add-on, and I would be surprised if they did, because the reason Galactus exists is to get you to purchase $100 pledge, which will help with their margins. That's the draw, right? You can see already on the $65 pledge, 276 backers. On the $100 pledge, 3,216 backers. People want this Galactus, or rather people are drawn to purchase that extra pledge, and that's how they can upsell. So just remember that it is an upsell, and really think about the enjoyment that upsell will bring. And also contemplate, if that Galactus didn't exist, would you be interested in the original or any of the additional multiverse content as well? If the answer is yes, then great. But if the answer is no, then that should illuminate Galactus as the upselling feature that it is, and maybe you've saved yourself $130 because your existing stuff is just fine. Now, moving along to number 3, and here's where we get into more personal reasons. This is where we can evaluate the prospective stretch goals that will exist. I'll also revisit this on my Monday show crowdfunding countdown for the week at which Marvel United Multiverse, I always want to say X-Men, but it's not Mux, it's Mum. The week that Mum is finishing up its funding, I'll return to it and we can actually see all the stretch goals that are there, and we can make a better cost evaluation and a better value evaluation than right now as the campaign launches. That's half a reason right there. Why are you pledging right now when you don't know the full package of what you're getting? These stretch goals that will be unlocked anyway. They are planning to have 60 additional figures or so in their stretch goals. What was X-Men? Let's see. We had 33 heroes, 5 anti-heroes, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 14 extra villains. That's actually a decent breakdown. Because my point number 3, my actual point number 3, not don't back now, wait until near the end, because then you can see the stretch goals and then you can evaluate for yourself. I think that is sound. But the point about these stretch goals is that the heroes in Marvel United do not need 30 people worth of variability. If you're unfamiliar with how the game plays, each hero has their own special deck of cards, like this, that will have these different symbols on them. Generally, there are 3 symbols. There could be a 4th one, which is a wild one, but you can remove that if you want to up the difficulty. These give you movement. These give you punching points where you can punch minions in the face. And then these give you heroic points where you can use those heroic points to just stand there, bask in the glory, say, I am here. Oh man, I'm getting flashbacks. And use those to clear threats, basically, and rescue civilians. You want to complete 2 of these tasks before you can deal damage to the main baddie, and then you deal all the damage you need to the main baddie before their deck runs out. You win the game. But the hero cards here, their decks are mostly comprised of these solo cards. You can see even in the 6 cards that are showcased here, all from different characters, it looks like. Oh no, we've got a Ghost Rider and a Ghost Rider. But from a few different characters, you'll see that there aren't many special abilities that are in the mix. And because of that, I have found through my plays of Marvel United that most of the heroes feel the same. Mechanically, they don't necessarily feel the same when you're holding your hero and you're pretending to be Iron Man or Spider-Man and going flip and flying around, whatever. Yeah, you want to get into the mode, you want to play pretend and really feel like you're the hero. You can absolutely do that from your own imagination, but from the actual mechanics of it, I haven't found much significant differences between the decks, and then therefore all the heroes begin to feel kind of all of the same. And so even in these stretch goals of all these different sculpts, which are fun if you're a painter, this doesn't draw me into the game because all of these people, I don't know if I'll actually feel like they're different enough. And I like my characters to feel different, and that is hopefully what the equipment upgrades will do for Multiverse, is make them feel a little bit more different, a little bit more special, and address that criticism. And that's a bit exciting for me. But for the most part, the addition of heroes doesn't matter. And that's why most expansion boxes give you a bunch of heroes and then only give you a few villains. I'm actually pretty impressed with the number of villains that were offered in the previous campaign, because these villains at least play differently. There's at least different threats that are in various locations. Most of their cards will generally be the same. They'll move a certain way and then they'll go bam. But at least their abilities and their persistent abilities actually have an impact on the gameplay, instead of the heroes, which really feel very similar to me. So that's number 3. If you are drawn in by the allure of all these different heroes and all these different ways to play, know that the hero variability really doesn't come into play that much, and keep your eyes peeled then for additional villains and the additional scenarios that it does bring. That again might be a reason why you would pick up the Galactus, and the Galactus expansion for $35 as an add-on might be interesting when you have to bundle it together with a bunch of heroes that you don't need because you already have a bunch of heroes. I think it's a bit less interesting. Now, moving along to number 2, the number 2 reason why you shouldn't back Marvel United is that the game itself is just okay. It is, and this might make you mad, and if it does, I understand. We have a difference of opinions. That's okay. Number 1 is still for you, though, so don't break your computer in a rage just yet, smashing that dislike button with your fists. But for me, I was really let down by the gameplay of Marvel United. I've given it away to my neighbor because his kids like it. And I think that therein lies the draw for Marvel United. I think Marvel United is a very basic cooperative game. You have very basic decisions to make. You have a hand of cards and you say, which of the 3 symbols do I want to activate this time? And which of the 6 spaces should I go to do 3 of the very basic same goals every time? For me, the decision space is not exciting. I found it repetitive. I found it easy. And I'm so happy that I took my own advice back when X-Men United was funding and went out and just bought a copy of the original base game and tried it out to see if I liked it, then spent all of that money on something that I didn't. And I'm happy that my neighbor's kids, who are 11 and 13, I think, I don't know, they're kids. Sorry if you're watching this. You just both look 20 to me. You're so grown up. I'm glad that they enjoyed it, and I'm glad that it could go to a good home and to a place where it might get played. But for me, it was just boring. And I think therein lies the difference. I think as a family game and for young kids and being able to jump into that superhero theme and have the fun minis, the minis were really fun. The card quality was incredibly lacking. The token quality was fine. But really, it's all about the minis here and moving them around and looking at them and trying to role play and use that imagination and feel excited about it. But I was really let down, especially by all the people out there who really enjoyed the game. And so that's why I particularly encourage caution if you're new to the system to not jump in at this Kickstarter level where you're going to be spending $100. Instead, go to your store and get it for $30 and see if it's something that you like. Because if it's something that you like, you're going to be fine having those additional characters. You will. And then you can jump onto the Kickstarter bundle. You don't necessarily have to take my word for it, but I just want to be that voice of caution and that voice of someone who was very excited to try it, and I was excited to let it invoke a sense of wonder in me, and then I was going to be excited to back at the $65 level, which I actually think is a decent deal for the amount of content that you get, even with the shipping, like I said before. But it's not a decent deal if you're not going to like the game, and it's not more complicated than what it puts out, and it plays like a much more boring version of Pandemic. I just found it to be uninteresting. The decisions on the cards and the hero cards didn't make me feel like I was a hero. It made me feel like I was going to just throw down random symbols again and again, regardless of who I was playing, and achieving the goals around the same level until I could pull the trigger on both of them at once so that my villain wouldn't level up. It's a very simple game. And if you're in the market for a simple game and you think those sorts of things will hit the table, great. Or it has hit the table before, great. But if you're not, and if you're new to the system, well, this is my negative review of it because I do not ever desire to play this game again. And I am completely devoid of FOMO because of how disappointed I was in that main game. So I want to add my voice there as somebody who didn't like it and doesn't understand the draw or the appeal that many other people may find. And finally, we come to the number one reason you shouldn't back Marvel United Multiverse, specifically Marvel United Multiverse. And that is for all of you who do have Marvel United and Marvel United X-Men and you love the system and you're excited to get more stuff. I'm sorry to tell you, this is just your gut check, your wake-up call. You have too much Marvel United already. You do. If you were a backer of the first campaign or a backer of the second campaign and got everything, as I have seen on a lot of Facebook groups, people go all in all the time with Command games, and I understand that people do it. I don't necessarily understand the consistent reasoning behind it, but if you've gone all in, if you purchased $800 worth of Marvel United already, they are dipping back into your wallets to try to get you to have another taste. And my question for you is, how much Marvel United is too much? If the answer is none, if the answer is none immediate, then of course you should back it. If the answer is, well, and you look to your calyx and you see that Marvel United can fit an entire calyx, or at least a half calyx. The first Marvel United took up 8 boxes. Marvel United X-Men took up 9 or so boxes. There's your 8, and then here's your 9 or so boxes. I'm asking you, how much more of an experience will this added Marvel United get you? Or are you so far down the rabbit hole that you feel you need everything new? Because I understand the main draw for me are the equipment cards. And you know that all of the equipment cards are going to be in the stretch goals. You know that's going to be a thing, that they're going to give you all the equipment cards for every previous edition or iteration or expansion. And then it's great because even if you don't have those minis, kind of like they did with Massive Darkness 2, even if you didn't have Massive Darkness 1, you can still use the cards as proxies and shuffle them up and give random heroes random equipment, because that would obviously be the better way to play. And so I can feel the draw of, well, I'm going to need those equipment cards, so I might as well get everything. How much Marvel United is too much? Are 16 boxes or 17 boxes for a very lightweight, basic game, is that not enough? When will you be satisfied? And this isn't, again, to quench your excitement. This is to potentially shine a light on those of you who have bitten off more than you can chew and want to go down that rabbit hole again, because I get it. I feel it. It's so strange. I feel it for a game that I don't even like. And yet I think, well, the equipment cards, I like variable player powers. So that's really going to pull me in, and on a whole stack of them, maybe that would change the game. It won't. It won't change the game. It'll add a fun little twist to it, but it's not going to change the game. And if it really is so significant, you know what you can do? You can find pictures of all of those cards and write down their abilities and play with them yourself without needing to purchase this additional. That's what I did for the others. I didn't have access to all the Kickstarter stuff, but I wanted to try out the abilities of the characters. And so I printed off little abilities for characters, and you can shuffle them up. And then, oh, look at that. My now one base box has every expansion in it. There are ways to proxy these sorts of things, especially when the heroes' abilities and their actual decks themselves don't matter, because they really don't. The villains give you that variability. I admit that completely. But the heroes, I don't really see a significant difference, other than the mini, which of course are fun. I love the minis. I love the mini style, but you probably have too much already. And Kaman is banking that you are going to come back because, hey, you loved the 3 versions of Cyclops in the first campaign. Why not, or in Marvel United X-Men rather, why not get 10 versions of Cyclops this time, because it's the multiverse? Yeah, their card deck's going to be the same pretty much, but it doesn't matter. You got all those sculpts. And so they're banking on you returning to this well. And if that brings you joy, great. But somehow I think for most people, what you have already should be more than enough because of the basic nature of the game. So there you go. Those are my 5 reasons why you shouldn't back Marvel United Multiverse. Send it back home to mom. Don't go crying to mom that you want more mom. Just enjoy the mucks and the moo that you have already. Drop a comment below, though, why you enjoy Marvel United, why you are going to back, why you aren't going to back. Even though my opinion is infallible and the correct one, I'm always... I always enjoy doing these videos because everybody can chip in, and we can really feel the enthusiasm from those who are excited and supporting, and you can feel the hesitation and questions of those who haven't supported. And I just think it ends up being a good resource for everybody to help you make a more sure and investigated purchase, which of course is always the goal. So if you don't think I'm a garbage person, maybe hit like and subscribe. I would appreciate it immensely. If you do, hey, that's fine. I think you're quite nice. You seem like a nice person, but I understand how I exist in the world, and I deserve everything that's coming to me. Honestly, I'm just happy you made it here. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll always be here to be excited about games, and I will also attempt to talk you off the ledge and make sure you are excited about them as well. Thanks for watching. My name's Chris George, and I don't have a catchphrase, even though it appears like there's one on my shirt, but that's not it. And for the love of God, please, if you've taken one thing from this video, go watch My Hero Academia. That will give you all the awesome superpowers you could ever need. And I will be here for you to thank me for it. And Attack on Titan, because I'm finally watching Season 4 Part 2, and oh my goodness, it's so good. It's been such a good build-up. But specifically for Marvel United fans, well then you should watch My Hero Academia. Okay, bye. That's it. See ya.